Well, welcome to C's Backstage. This is your all-access pass to everything you need to know to design, produce, and inspire your next event. I'm your host, Troy Peters, C's very own Chief Experience Officer, here to guide you through the world of live event production. Remember to subscribe to the podcast at cspro.com/backstage or wherever you get your favorite podcasts so you too can be backstage. This is a pretty cool episode we're doing. We're talking to our marketing department. These are the people that actually make the podcast happen, make all our social media stuff happen, make everything happen, right? We really, marketing, I think in this day and age is really something that can be easily overlooked or maybe even too engaged with. I think we've really struck a good balance on what we do. So we have Tyler, who's our managing director, and we have Julie, who's our title's managing assistant, but I think we need our marketing assistant. Did I say that right?
Yeah. I think
marketing manager, marketing assistant, but really, I mean, Julie has embraced AI. You've like done renderings in AI. You've created content for speakers, tons of graphic design, and then you've obviously done some work with like photoshopping, cleaning them up and stuff, but you guys have both been like killing it in 2024 as we've really embraced the new norm, which is artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a really strong tool because, at the end of the day, we are a smaller team, 2 people, but there's still a lot of different things that we need to do and a lot of things that we need to handle. Classically, I'd say that was handled through like an agency or an external service where you're bringing on more people, kind of getting at leveraging money to turn that into people as you need them for things. And we've been able to convert AI to be able to do that, right? Like it can do everything from graphics to text to, I know video's upcoming. We haven't used it as much there, but it's something we've got our eye on for sure.
We're doing video podcasts.
Well, yes. I mean, in terms of the AI, I mean, eventually, maybe we'll just be AI avatars for the podcast.
We should do one where it's just avatars like that. That'd be cool. Yeah. That would be cool. Julie, tell us, how did you get into AI? Like, really, it was January where I think I sort of, as your director for the marketing team, kind of took a little course to get my certification in artificial intelligence and how to engage it, but really, you ran with it. I think we had a client that was like, we want to start making some content. So tell us about that journey a little bit.
Yeah, so she wanted content for her keynote speech, and she's like, I don't want to use stock photos because stock photos are outdated. You can't really get that custom feel with your stock images. So she's like, I want to play with Midjourney. And I was like, oh boy, I've never used that before. So
trial by fire.
Yeah, but it ended up being very successful. We were able to tell her story in a way that you couldn't with stock images. Mm-hmm. So memories of her as a child, we were able to basically take her face and create a younger version of herself and kind of tell that story of when she was a child, whatever she was talking about in her keynote speech. We're basically able to create custom images for her.
Which was amazing. Like, you actually took like old photos from like the 70s of her as a small kid, and then you imported them somehow. And then you had Midjourney, which was the product we were using. I think we were trying out a few things. Midjourney seems to be our favorite. And you had Midjourney output so that it looked even like those slightly faded old photos. Like, it looked like her, but we put her in a
sepia toned and aged.
Yeah.
I remember the client being in shock with a few of the photos and how like that looks like you're fooling me, and I know that I wasn't there.
Yeah. So absolutely amazing. Like, when somebody who's like started out in the motion picture industry, everything in my life that I've done professionally is basically fake, right? Right
smoke
from all smoke and mirrors, my favorite saying. I was shocked at how well it worked. I think that speaks volumes to you and being able to, the marketing team, you guys both being able to really just craft how to do it.
I want to speak to Julie on that too, because that was it was a bit of a crunchy week, in terms of a tight deadline. We had a lot to get done, and we're learning new tool sets, right? So that's always stressful. That's always tough. You run into moments of like, not only like, can I make it in time? Can I even make it, right? Like that question is out there.
Yeah.
And I think she ran into that a little bit.
Yeah, that was a very long week. Tyler and I were working probably like 14-hour days for 8 days straight. So we were really trying to meet that deadline.
Right. But you guys did.
Yeah.
You did it.
And that's the cool thing that comes out of it, is the pride out the other side of it, in terms of like, oh, like how good you feel when you nail it. And I will even say too, like through that process, like as an observer, because Julie was I was working more on motion graphics for that project, and Julie's kind of taking the lead, especially with our image prompting and all of that. And the reason we're having Julie do it is because it's not just like anyone can sit down and just do it as easily as can be. It's harder for me to do it because I don't have the practice bringing it up. And I even saw over the week where she would struggle so much at the beginning, and then by the middle of the week, when she got sort of new things or new iterations or requests from the client, she would put it in, and it would come like the final product or the endpoint would come faster. And I think at first she was just a little shocked, like, "Oh, I think Midjourney's getting better." And I said, "No, Julie, I think you're getting better."
Totally.
Yeah, definitely trial and error with the prompting. I think Midjourney takes certain words better than other words.
Right.
Like they're more familiar, so just learning those words that you need to use.
And the
speed
kind
up
of the
process
order
a
of
bit.
asking it to do it in a
Yes.
certain way,
Certain
right?
order,
Yeah.
that's important as well.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So right now the marketing team is inserting some photos that you can see, like some of the work we did.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
Someone will. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome. So from there, we really kind of went from, doing that, sort of learning that side of AI, and then playing around a little bit more. And then I think we had a client that really needed to turn around. We needed to turn around a proposal super quick for them. It might have been that one where we built all these pillars.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so typically we do, these CADs, and then we will like build our order, build our response to the RFP, and then try to have some sort of 3D graphic that was in there. That typically takes a good couple of days to do 3D, proper renderings and have them out and be able to show a client what their event's going to look like. In here's a rendering of what it looks like. But in that one, it was like, wow, we really had like 2 days to get everything put together and then turned around. So I think I probably walked into your office and was just like, so next project,
Yeah.
we need to make these LED towers look like they're in downtown San Diego with a bunch of people around them at sunset. And you, in minutes, punched that into the AI. And I don't even think I've made it all the way back to my office, which isn't that far. It's just down the hall. And I think I heard, okay, I've got the first one ready. And I came back and it was like, done. So tell us a little bit, like, how did that go? How did you go from where it was like, you're figuring it all out, you're making things, and now we're at the point where it's like, can we get a picture of, you even did one for a party where I was like, so I'm throwing a May the 4th Kentucky Derby party because they both landed on the same time.
Yeah.
And you sent me a reply with Yoda on a horse at the Kentucky Derby, again, in minutes. And it was a beautiful image. Like it was 100% like you were, if you didn't look close, you would almost, is that real? Like, is that an actor on a horse?
Yeah.
The horse looks real. The audience, the crowd looks real. You could see Churchill Downs in the background. Absolutely amazing. So how the hell are you doing this?
So I've gone from using prompting to using more photos. So it's a lot easier to get what you're looking for by inputting photos and then using the image weight to kind of
To craft it.
to craft it, to basically tell it like exactly what you're looking for. Because sometimes you can describe it, but it doesn't have that in its knowledge base already, so it's kind
Right.
of hard to get exactly what you're
It's a
looking
little bit
for.
like visual prompting.
So did
Visual
you
prompting.
give it here's a picture of Yoda and give it a Yoda and then a Churchill Downs
that
photo?
was a little bit easier. So no, I didn't use that for that one, but for the pillars, because it didn't ever. I don't think it knew what LED pillars were. So.
Right. It doesn't speak our language. You kind of got to speak its language, which
Exactly.
again, is something that you've been amazing at.
You're bilingual now. Or
yeah.
trilingual. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
Trilingual.
There you
All
go.
right.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. Like absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Well, and that's cool too because like that's one aspect of how we've been using AI. We've also been transitioning it into a lot of other use cases. I know that we're both doing it a lot with ChatGPT and actually in somewhat different ways. So Julie can talk a little bit more about how she uses it to help punch up and craft up sort of marketing copy. And then the way that I like to leverage it is to do a lot of like busy work. I get a lot of stuff where it's like, for example, the transcripts for these podcasts are like an hour long, sometimes. Even the 20, 30-minute ones, I don't want to go type that or whatnot. So there's an AI engine built into Adobe that lets me pull the transcript. And once I have that transcript, I output it as a text file. Now I go take that, I import it into ChatGPT, and then I say, hey, ChatGPT, give me the summary of the top 5 takeaways. So now I've distilled a podcast, which I've also listened to, so I've got a sense of it. But now I've got 5 concrete starting points to begin working on the blogs or any other written pieces or any posts that we might want to make. So it's more of a workhorse for me in that case, as opposed to it making a creative decision. So it's got more options than just that creativity.
That's perfect. I think as well for myself, as we've just launched our new website, I think a lot of I'm pretty good at being able to write what I want to say and pretty good at writing. I've taken some writing classes and things from a marketing standpoint, but really putting the verbiage into a website that your brain automatically thinks it knows what it wants to say because we've been looking at websites for 2 decades now. And so you're always saying the same thing and it kind of gets really dry really fast, especially when you're building an entire new website, which we just did. And every page has to have some sort of verbiage on it. So it was amazing to just take that, write what I would write kind of, even like, I think there was one page where it was like in Microsoft Word, pages of what I wanted to say, like probably 2.5 pages. And then import that into ChatGPT and say, summarize this into 2 succinct paragraphs or 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And it'll come out and you're just like, I couldn't have written that better.
Yeah.
Well, I could have, but
not
that quickly. Yeah.
When you input or when you use ChatGPT for text prompts, I feel like sometimes it comes back a little bit too robotic. So when people are starting to see it more and more often, so I feel like they know when it's from ChatGPT because it sounds too perfect. So one thing that I've been doing is asking it to humanize the text, and it comes back so good.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. So what I've always done is when I've converted something or wanted it to condense something or write something for me, I've always then put it up on one screen and then rewrote it in my voice. Yeah. But that takes time too.
Yeah.
So humanizing, that's pretty cool. Wow.
Yes,
All right.
it's perfect. Next time use it. This is actually new to me too. I've only been using it for probably 2 weeks.
The cool thing you can do as well is you can actually input things to have it output its style of writing to a certain thing. I had done when ChatGPT had first come out, I'd asked it to write a rant, which actually took some work because ChatGPT doesn't want to do anything negative. So I had to do some reverse engineering, but I had to do a rant in the style of George Carlin about AI taking over. I've got to find it somewhere. I'll show it to you. It's hilarious.
That is very cool.
It sounded so much like him. So you can actually, if it's someone that's in popular culture or someone that you're kind of trying to mimic in terms of style or voice, you can bring some of that in, especially if you want to quote or, in the words of. But I agree with you that voice is one of the things that you don't always want to lose. So if you feel like you have a voice, AI can still be a tool.
Yep.
You just do it the way that you do, Troy, where you bring up, you get essentially the words in, and then you model it into your voice. Or, as Julie said, you can just humanize it so it's a little less robotic.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And like Julie will often do, or both of you will often do, is we will get content coming out, even if it's an image or text, and you guys both you'll put it into Photoshop. You'll even if it's just putting the client logo into the scene or just tweaking it a little bit so that it's more what you want. There's always that. It really is. It's not the solution. It's not the pill to fix things. It's the tool in the toolbox. The hammer doesn't build the shelf, but the hammer's a great thing to use to build a shelf.
I think that the tool analogy is really good because as it's gotten popular, everyone's like, our jobs, everything's going away. And I'm like, carpenters still work. They use,
nail guns. Yep.
Nail guns instead of doing it.
Totally.
It's the nail gun of writing. Right?
Yeah.
And it's when you embrace it that way and you let it just leverage your productivity power, but still outputting what you want to output. Now, if you blindly use it, as Julie was saying, people will notice it. I've read plenty of articles
100%.
that I'm like ChatGPT, and people will develop more of an eye for that. But if you're able to output just a lot more with less time, that also just means that you're not stressed and overloaded.
Yep.
So you can actually put more into your work.
Yeah. Cool. I think my takeaway is that when I don't want to sound so robotic when I'm sending emails out to the whole staff about here's a new process of how we're doing something, I'm just going to have ChatGPT. Can you humanize this for me so I sound like a real boy?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's cool too because I feel like we're just on the cusp of it, right? I was curious when everything first started. And then we started using it, and I got more excited, and not just curious. And then I'm also hearing about all these new tools that I'm sure other people have already started to use. I haven't yet, but Sora, the video AI.
I can't wait to use Sora. That video AI is amazing. It looks real. I can't even tell that it's AI.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys keep pushing the envelope.
Yep.
Like, I fully support this. I think it's done amazing things for the company in just the 4 months that we've really been using it. I'm excited to see what it's going to be like in a year, that what we're able to output. I mean, from content being created for shows to our marketing initiatives to better verbiage to just communicate
Yeah.
our goals and initiatives. Yeah. So looking forward, video, anything else that you guys are seeing on the radar? I mean, I've played around with several different kinds. I think you guys are right that Midjourney seems to be the right fit for us. I think there's a lot of other AI, especially on the visual side, where they seem to output very dark images. Like there's a couple that are like, I was doing a talk and we were talking. It was in Sacramento, and I just wanted to share. Here's an AI generated image of show me what Sacramento looked like in the Old West, like during the Gold Rush days, and it was not an image I wanted to share. It did not look good.
It's not for the faint of heart.
But then I found another one, and it was like this beautiful cartoony kind of like streetcar in the street and stuff, and it was like, yeah, this is cool, and this was AI. So
Well, I would say one cool thing that I see because I've done a little bit of research for some of the imagery, well, in general, but like one of the imagery pieces that excites me is, so you've got Midjourney, which is creating these 2D images, and then in the 3D image space, there's now, I follow some game design and video game forums, and they're starting to there's a tool that will let you take a 2D image and then it'll build a 3D model from it.
Oh, really?
I don't know how far along it is yet, but they're iterating and working on it. So that idea that you can go from literally nothing and say, generate this cartoon character for me, on a 2D image, and then now pipeline that into this 3D modeler that it makes a 3D model that I can then use in a game that can be used for renders or things like that. If we need to build a stage, like, cool, make me a stage image, now make this 3D. And it's really becoming not just independent pieces of software. There's like these pipelines, these workflows that are emerging that are completely AI driven, with people essentially just steering the wheel and getting them where they want them. And I think that's the exciting end, is where it's all these different tools look like they're disparate things, but as we start to connect them together with the glue, they're going to create some crazy things in some very quick time frames.
I love it. Very cool. Well, thanks, you guys. I know this is not your jam. You guys are usually behind the scenes, running this for us, but I really appreciate you taking the time to share with other people who hopefully aren't afraid of embracing AI, and, reach out to us. You guys have been great about jumping on calls with clients to help them understand it as well. So, we just love being a leader in that world. Yeah. And I will use it more to make myself sound more humanized. Again, this has been C's Backstage. This is your all access pass to everything you need to know to design, produce, and inspire your event. Make sure you follow us, subscribe to the podcast at cspro.com/backstage, or wherever you follow your favorite podcast. Maybe AI can fix that for me. Stop doing these sad exits. Perfect. Thanks, everybody.